copy link. Okay, so that's looking good. Just need to find a clip to hold this camera in. Ezra. Okay. I'm actually using my phone on this one because I hate the GoPros. I don't know if you knew that, Robin. Hey. Oh, your body is ready. My body's ready. I know you didn't say body, but I know that's what you meant. Yes, Brandon, Noah, guys, we got some cool stuff to go over. I'm just looking for a little clip because apparently Joel took all the clips for these things. So I don't have a way of holding my camera like this and not having it fall over. Inserter. Only now do I realize how intense that name is. What are you looking for? Joel takes all of the thumb screws to these, and I think he sells them on eBay. Hey, Catherine. Where are the pro things? Bob Hope. Wow. What, baby kitty? Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to do this. So we got a couple of really cool things. A lot of really cool things. What? Oh, that's probably, yeah, so you guys are going to see something really, really cool. You guys might take a back seat. Yeah, Brandon, that is. Yeah, so we got a couple guys coming in that are suspension, like, nuts. And so you guys are probably, like, watching the background. Yeah, they're from Olin's. So, yeah, that was a simile. We'll go over that and stuff in a second. Hey! Okay. Oh, yeah.
Quite a few cars in here.
Yeah, it's getting a little packed. Yeah.
Taking pictures?
Oh, you know, I've got a handful, just 26 people. I've like go into a little live stream. So it's a group of like the hardcore guys that like really care about the details. So I get to see behind the scenes stuff.
Sweet.
But yeah, I was gonna show them a lot of the work I was doing on the white car.
Nice.
And we just went and picked that one up.
Nice. How's it going? What's up, bro? Nice to meet you, John.
Yeah, how exciting all this stuff with Olin's.
How you liking it?
That was super exciting.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
You made an impression, but
Yeah.
well, we'll talk about it when
Yeah.
you're ready. I'll tell you what I. Oh,
Yeah.
look at this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw you putting it together.
Yeah, so I've got, I'm learning from the race engine, and I get it all sealed end to end so that way everything's all. I haven't finished this one. This one's gonna go something like that. So
love it.
yeah, so I'm super excited. But this will be up and running really soon.
Love it.
Yeah,
This old causeway.
yeah. This guy, we're building an engine stand for it shortly. We're just trying to find. I think one of the bolts. Somebody stripped one of the bolts in this, so we're trying to figure out.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, yeah. So we're being very.
You see my race car, like it was professionally maintained, but I don't know what profession they were in.
Yeah. So this one, we're concerned that the top bolts are actually like a U.S. Which a Cosworth shouldn't be.
Well, who's been working on it? You never know.
Yeah.
They just get to be animals.
Yeah. Hey Joel,
The clutch is that the greatest.
do you have one of those little thumb screw things for this? Like any GoPro one? Yes. So we're warming up on this. I'm getting like the clutch ordered and
A lot to do. Not just on this. I
yeah,
just mean
in general.
In general.
Yeah.
I have so many projects. I don't know where you get the energy. But
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
young. What's that?
So that's Thank you. So that's still the four rotor. Oh, I'm stuck. Yeah. So that one, I mean, the excitement's building on this thing, and like all the wiring that you see over there is all this wiring right here. That all disappears. All of that disappears. So we gain just cleanliness and organization.
I have these dies. They're so much fun.
Oh
They
yeah,
goes-
the dimple dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the ultimate goal is, and I know all the specs outside of the shocks, but once we get, I'm gonna have to redesign those control arms, and then that's where I want to approach Olin's with, really doing this car right. I mean the JRIs have been wonderful, but I don't know. I lost the dyno sheet on them, so.
Yeah. Well, and we'll look at the back, and
Yeah.
because you want to do that wheelie. We
Yeah.
we can get
Well,
the
the
rear a lot better.
yeah. So that's this car. The wheelie comes from
Okay, well,
yeah. So those are those ones that you first saw that were rough. You know, inexpensive
I
shocks.
think I saw it on this too.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, you're not gonna piss off the shop guy.
No, no. I bought those right outright. So this is more just objective. Like if there's something better, there's something better.
All right. Are you live here?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So this is just a group of guys.
Hi, group of guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So Doug is a amazing wealth of knowledge on. I think so.
It's overestimated.
Yeah, but he.
I have a wealth of stupidity to even it out.
Yeah, he's got oh, they said, Doug, we love you. Yeah,
Thank you.
but yeah, so the back behind the scenes is that Doug is a big supporter of Olin's, and we had a chance. You saw in the video, we went to Olin's booth, and it was actually the guy that I was in the booth talking with. It was the guy who recommended me to Doug, and then
No, I recommended you to him.
yeah, well, I called him first.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so
That's right.
So it's a full circle.
Yeah.
But what's going on right now is he's going to help with the suspension on this car. And so we're going to film a little bit of YouTube stuff on that. But Olin's makes probably the top, honestly, like this is the top of the line type of suspension. And so these are not. These are very budget, very, very budget. I think I found the dyno sheet that the shop had given us. But they're one-way adjustable. We put super soft springs. I think they're 150 pound per inch.
Best thing to do, by the way. You want
Really?
soft.
Yeah.
Soft as you can get.
Well, that
Soft is good.
that is good
And
then.
it's opposite what most people think. Everybody, I
Yeah.
get all the time, they got these Olin's kits. I'm getting these, forget what springs they are. We're going
Yeah.
up and you got to revalve. Number one, you don't revalve for spring rates. Number two, you don't want heavy springs.
Yeah.
The lightest you can live with.
Yeah, this has been it's I mean, you saw the video, it's squatted way better. There's some trickiness I think still, but the problem was I have this electronic wastegate, and it's still like bleeding edge, like cutting edge, like a little too cutting edge. And so when I started getting ready to pull some serious power, the damn thing cut power because it was trying to do some other things. And so you see me, I pull 2.2 Gs, and then as soon as the car just like 10 feet off, about 10, 12 feet off the line, power starts dropping. It's
I'm not an engine guy.
yeah, yeah, that,
Especially with my race car has a Honda Fit motor. It's a stock motor.
yeah,
Plug it in and go.
yeah, so,
But I think if we start I'd love to get a dyno
yeah,
on those rear shocks.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you can get a lot more grip.
yeah, let me find it, let me see if the guy had given me the shocks, and then what we'll do is we'll kind of film yeah, I'll tell Keeps, hey, it'll be tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go through this little adventure, which is actually really, really cool. I'll tell you guys more about Doug afterwards. He is insane, and he won't admit it. Absolute monster at what he's doing, and it's people like that impair their knowledge into us.
He's a savage clip.
I actually used, yeah. So hang with me and enjoy this little bit. Actually, you guys can sit on top of here. I'm very quiet. Okay, Andrew, I'll speak up a little bit. Okay, good. Sorry, I must have been pocketing that. Okay, so I'm gonna stand here so that these guys can see what we're doing while we're doing it. Okay, well, this is super exciting. I want to make a proper introduction for Doug. He is a very, very experienced dealer with Olin's. In fact, he is full of energy. He's better looking than I am, and it's kind of difficult to share the stage with somebody that just takes your attention. No, he's an amazing guy, and he's here to help a little bit with the three-rotor, because we've got wonderful shots on there now, but Olin's is kind of, God tier. Basically put it that way, is that it's just a whole different level. So we're going to learn about that with the IndyCar. He wanted to help with the IndyCar. He's got his magic point for that, and just save more money to do those shots. So, pay. You get what you pay for. It's some quality things. What is nice though is Owens is interested in doing four FDs. Of course, it's going to be a premium setup. We're going to try to experiment with that. Maybe do some track days and learn more about all of that. But let's introduce Dahm.
What happened to this thing?
The clutch flame is too big for the cycle.
This stuff away.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got FC stuff, we've got C8 stuff, we've got stuff covering the IndyCar. It's all over the place, but we're making progress. It's all listed and it's all thought out, but it is a little chaotic. Yeah, making money moves, as Cardi would say.
We went to the track.
Now let me find the dyno sheet somewhere. I saved it.
I'm surprised if you really did.
I know. I saw it and I was like, that's what we were looking
I
for.
remember putting a new slave in like not that long ago.
Did they give you these mounts here?
I think the tranny.
No, that part sucks. Have that.
That's just a flat piece, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took the reroute. We went right through Pomona instead of getting on the freeway. Oh, that's horrible. And the other thing is with this deal, they're giving you an average graph, so you don't see all the agony that's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know if I explained on the video, that this is, okay, so what happens is it accelerates, right, to 10 inches a second. This is and then decelerates. And there's,
Oh yeah, I watched the video.
and there's hysteresis and stuff. They leave all that crap out.
Yeah.
You know? See, even here.
Well, before we get
no compression.
yeah, before we get too far into it, can you introduce yourself in this
Oh,
video?
yeah. Well, what are we doing?
Yeah, just that you're taking a look at the 3-rotor R7.
I'm very good looking at this.
You mentioned that already.
Yeah, that's why I never wear a mask. I don't own a mask. And it's only because I'm so good at it.
Yeah, so this is.
I'll die handsome.
And that's the perfect way to introduce Doug. Doug Brenner. I guess you'd make a better example of explaining who you are than I am.
I'm just a guy. I'm the Olins guy. I've done Olin shocks for 30 years. And I think I'm the only guy in the country authorized for motorcycle and auto, except I'm a car guy. I don't do anything that falls over when it stops. So, this is my tenet of life. So I don't really do motorcycles, but I do, I do shocks for Fords. And I don't know how I got into it. I've been racing since I got trophies from 1964, but they wouldn't let you race till you was 21 because you could die then. You can't die. But
I'm invincible.
well, no, it's just not that dangerous anymore. The drive to the track's the dangerous part. So I did time trials and slaloms, and I got my SCCA competition license in 1960, which was the day August 7th. And that's the day Jim Clark got the race car guy. So, and I grew up in Pasadena, and I knew Bruce Burness, who was the oldest. I started with Owen's second father. He was married to Owen's sister. And he was a genius. He was Fulmer's guy, and did all the motorcycles, the Costers guy. And then he got into auto, and he did everything. He was Tony Stewart. I mean, he worked for Olin's, but he worked with Tony Stewart and won the championship in 2002. That was Olin's. So I just lucked out. Otherwise, I'd be doing everything.
Yeah, that's what's super exciting though, is that you have a wealth of knowledge, in my opinion, that you can bring to the table that people.
I think it's just everybody else is so bad, it makes me look good. Frankly, if you want to know the truth. Because, there's a lot of things I don't know. But I think I got the basics now. I usually get people in the ballpark.
Yes.
And it's just me. And I'm still racing, so.
If you guys check out his YouTube channel, he goes super in depth, and he is the Owens guy.
The Owens guy at YouTube. I have a giant, I'm in competition with him. I think I have, how many do I have? 2,000, 200. I don't know. It's kind of, you know, it's, people usually are interested in everything but dampers and shocks, and they're the next, in my opinion, just like my opinion, man, if you like the Big Lebowski. Number one is tires. If you don't have tires, forget it. But next is suspension, it's shocks and the correct springs. And not having springs do the job of the shock, or shocks do the job of the springs, you know. And that's all it is. And then the rest of it, if you can't, you can have all this power, if you can't get it to the ground, what difference is it?
Well, that is exactly the issue that we have here. Is we've got 1,000 horsepower on tap at any RPM, really, any usable RPM, and the suspension is really not the weak point as much as it's where you see all this horsepower just force the car into submission. So I think there's a lot of cool things. As you guys kind of know, not only did I ever want this to be just a drag car, because it was originally just a raw drag car, I wanted it to be able to go to a track, of course, turn. That's what an RX-7 does.
And it's all the same. You know, people go, well, not all the same. If you're doing a really high downforce car, let's say, the shocks do other things. They want to keep the air, maybe off-road, I don't know what that is. But basically, it's all the same, whether it's motorcycles or whatever. So it's just a matter of mechanical. We're working with a mechanical group and shocks. And a shock absorber or a damper, whatever you want to call it, forks of a motorcycle. That's hardware. And Olin's is the very best hardware. There's no comparison. And that's why I want to do it. I don't do Olin. Olin's isn't the best because I do it. I do Olin's because they're the best. But if you have bad software, a shock absorber, you know, and what we're doing for performance, a real is hardware and software. And if the software is no good, it doesn't matter. You can have a really mediocre shock with the damping software. I mean, what the damping looks like, and it'll be pretty good. Or you can have an Olin's with bad damping, which I see a lot, and it doesn't matter, it's crap. So, you know, you have the best hardware with Olin's, and if you get the software in the ballpark, you're really styling. And they're not more expensive than anything either. That's the other, you know, they'll go, oh, Olin's. No, because Olin's, here's another weird thing. Olin's is, MotoGP is all Olin's, which is Formula One of motorcycles, except for KTM because they own WP. And they don't give them anything. They don't give them the shocks. They don't give them advertising. You'll see a little Olin sticker maybe on the fork if you look real close, but there's nothing. And they pay for everything. Now, why would they do that if it wasn't the best? And they're so far ahead of everybody, which trickles down. And the other thing another reason it's good just to be an Olin's guy is they'll do a new shock or a new fork or whatever. And if there's a part that isn't just quite right, they'll change it. So it's always different. Olin's is a tool company that sells shocks. Because I got so many tools, because they don't compromise anything. It's really the greatest, and it's not hyperbole, or I'm not selling or anything. I can just tell you there's no comparison.
So do you have an example of the series of shock that we're looking at?
Well, this is the thing. I'm having, Olin's wants me to do one, but I want to do the other. So we'll talk about what that is, you know. But I just happened to get it. I'm doing I think it's a slalom car or something. I just got this today, so I have a shock to show you what I think is the correct one.
Awesome.
But anyway, that's all I know. I know nothing.
Very cool. Awesome.
That was
excellent. That was excellent. Yeah,
So here's the deal, between you and me.
Yeah.
Because I don't agree with a lot of the software.
Yeah.
You know, and Olin's USA, I mean, they're just guys.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I helped out. I gave Brian some hints, and he did really well.
Yeah.
But so they've got the one I showed you. That's for stock cars. It's a great shot. It's a single tube.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with the shot.
Yeah.
It can be just as good as what I would. that's all it is.
Yeah.
But it's not it's hard to revalve, and it's just, and they think they just want to, so they want us to make a kit. And then I was never clear, do you want us to sell the kit, or do you want?
Right, yeah.
Is Olin's gonna do it, and then if I valve it, how does that work? Do they have to put the valve in the factory, is it a pain in the ass? Let's say you sold 20 of them or something.
Yeah.
10 days. With the TTX, I'll show you, just put it on the side, it's fantastic. So we might have to deal with them and maybe, I'm sure they're gonna make some deals, but if not, I'll make, I'm just a little guy, but you got 100,000 people. They gotta understand that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do, if you're doing business for me, I'm screwed, because it's just.
No, that's true.
Right. But I wanna do what's the best thing for the car, the simplest. And also that shock that I showed you,
Yeah.
the retail is pretty much the same as this.
Oh.
So what's the
Yeah,
point?
yeah.
So,
So when we included kind of just good races, and just because you and I don't work together regardless, but we included some of the footage, stop at time.
I liked it up
Yeah.
there, it was only like 2 places you
Yeah.
did,
Yeah.
but it's worth it because it's the best. But,
Yeah.
he's out there doing the high
And the
numbers.
high, yes.
In fact, I have TTX 40, I have that shock on my
Okay.
wrist.
Yeah.
And that's what he suggested to you,
Yep.
which
I heard that.
Which would have been, if you were racing competitively in this car, and it was a new car.
We were talking TTX 38 or something.
36.
36.
Same thing, yeah, I'll show you, this is a TTX 36, just an inline.
Okay.
But we want this to look right, TTX 36 with a P, they call it with a P back, is what we
Oh.
want for that, it's not all that expensive, and they're fantastic.
Yeah.
TTX 40, I have my race car,
Yeah.
just because.
Yeah, of course.
But, it's double the price, and there's no use whatever to do it unless you feel like doing it.
Yeah.
But we can really make, this is the most spoiled damping, and this is exactly what they do. Nobody learns, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
And that just kills the grip.
Because I just want to, we don't even have to film this, I just want to.
That way don't film it.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
that amount of other shots.
Exactly. And we'll go back over here just so they.
Only in private at that.
Yeah, yeah.
I call them, like Penske's, I call, supposed professional shocks or something. I don't know.
So when you look at these,
Well, they have absolutely no compression damping and tons of rebound, and this rebound kills grip. I should have brought you some of my data sheets. What we need, first, let's do you're here till 4 in the morning.
yeah.
Well, let's do a little survey on motion ratio. We'll get motion ratio, that's all I need for
Yeah.
now. But mine, look, this, it doesn't go up. But let's say, can I go on?
Yeah,
All right, where's my little thing? I got a pencil. I got a professional pencil. Well, I can do it here. Look, check this out. I got these. I used to work at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, so I got official Lawrence Berkeley laboratory stuff. Okay, so this is 0. And let's put 50, 100. I'm a terrible drawer, so there, 50, 200, 250. Same down here. I'll, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 250. That's what I'm a pretty good race driver because I'm way ahead of myself all the time.
And so this would be compression.
No. Yeah, this is compression, this is rebound, this is force in pounds.
Yep.
And this here would be velocity of the shaft, right?
Okay.
So what it should look like, let's say you have, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, the other thing they're doing all this digressive damping, which sucks. Look at this, nose and a knee. They think, I don't know what the hell. They go, well, you can go over bumps. But you got to go through this. This is over damped. If you took this off into the stratosphere, if you put this line out there,
Yeah.
there's a lot of damping at 5 inches. And it's initially when it starts going, it goes, uh-oh,
Yeah.
right? It stops pretty much. And then the wheel can come off. It's just ridiculous.
Okay, so yeah, because I can see these and I understand that these are fast and this is slower movement, but I guess I don't understand like a circumstance where, okay, here's a car hitting a bump, going over a speed bump would be down
Yeah,
here.
no, well, it would start here, but then it would come up here. But it has to go through this damping. And then when it slows down again, because it has to reciprocate, it goes back through bad damping. That's the problem
Oh,
with this.
yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It's, so you just want linear. Bruce, he worked with like everybody. So they're doing like the Indy cars. And they didn't have the software I have where I can just pull a line on my dyno and see how straight everything is.
Yeah.
And he said they'd have it on the screen and they put a ruler on it. The straighter they got it, the better it was. And I explained I get a little feedback from idiots that I did the one digressive damping, why I don't do it. I didn't say don't do it. I just said, here's my thing. You do what the hell you want because it makes me look better.
Yeah.
The more guys, that's why I do okay, is because everybody else is just so bad. I love that.
That's same here.
And then also, I don't know if all your dudes use the Taquicos and all that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, we did the
We had
Taquico.
them. We had them,
I
right?
had 'em,
when
yeah. The 5
Anyway,
way.
we put them on the dyno.
I think I have the sheet.
The adjustable ones.
Yeah. Yep.
Clicked the adjustments. Dynoed it again. Clicked it. There was zero difference.
No.
No, it was
I was
just-
so
I'm
proud of
talking
my
like-
Taquico 5 way.
No, I'm talking none, bro. You were doing nothing.
That's
Yeah.
The
hilarious.
clicks
I
were
like
doing
saved
nothing.
up. I
Not only
saved
were they
up.
terrible to begin with, but
Yeah.
then you click it,
Hide your
and it didn't
peeling
make it
stuff.
any better or worse. It just did nothing.
That's amazing.
It's all, this all.
So you might as well, if you're gonna get the Taquicos, you don't even need the adjustable. They're already terrible to begin with, but you might as well get the normal one.
The normally terrible. Don't,
Yeah.
don't pay
breaks
for
my-
more
I
terrible.
have a question for you guys.
Yes,
and
sir.
what do you guys think of Max Peeling rods?
Oh God, don't even.
Of what?
No,
Max
don't.
Speed.
It's he got a Chinese set of.
An hour later, you need a new set.
I've actually seen like people where the mount breaks off from it, and I'm like, I really want that to happen.
Yeah.
Well, but people don't know. And here's the problem. Everybody knows engines but they go, I know what this is, and I'm gonna get. But no, everybody, you're used to going. The shocks are bad on my car. I got to go to Meineke. I'll get some new shocks.
Yeah.
Nobody's used to high performance shocks that you
Yeah.
service.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's the other thing. Once you get these, you can service them all
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
And I can get all the parts.
The reaction is the one that's on the FD right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so you guys got the data? These are the data
he-
from.
he-
It's just
Okay.
horrible. This kills grip. All this rebound kills grip. And also what happens is, it's like the Roach Motel. They can get in, but they can't get out. It's like you have all that rebound damping, right? You get a bump. It can go up because there's nothing. All right, damping. I'll go to the beginning. All
Yeah.
damping is resistance to motion at any given velocity. Takes so much force to push on it at any given velocity, right? So what happens is it doesn't take anything for the suspension to go up. The shock's hardly doing anything. But what happens when it tries to go down?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Can't.
We need them.
So it pumps it up, and so it preloads that spring. You're starting out with the spring here, and once you get going, until it can't overcome whatever preload that is. So
Yeah.
you got this real stiff spring now, and not stiff,
Wow.
but
I see. Yeah.
it's horrible. And guys, they'll go, well, you can go over bumps. Listen, when it's linear and correct, I go over, and my car's about this high, I'll figure around. And you can, right, Jonathan?
Yeah.
He drives. He's a good driver, except it's still faster. And it pisses me off.
Just barely.
So I can go over anything because it starts out, it lets it move. But the analogy, I think I used it on one of my videos, my spitting and everything, is like catching a baseball, right? And what this is not even an analogy. It is. Okay, the guy throws a baseball. You hit it, it goes boom, right? You go, ow, and then you do this.
Yeah.
It's too late. It's already hurt. If you're catching the baseball, it goes in, and you do it as it comes in. You start coming back. You'll catch. Well, also with this, it falls out.
Yeah.
But And here's the other thing, and you can all relate to this. You go into a corner, you over brake, what happens? You lock the brakes. And then what do? You let off.
Cry. Oh, no, let off.
Well, you gotta stop it from.
Yeah, some people we know they just crash.
Either one. We've all done it. Don't worry.
Oh, no, we haven't all done it.
But so you're letting off, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just like over damping, you've over braked.
Yep.
The tire stops working, then you gotta let off. That's what digressive damping is. They cause a problem and then they fix it instead of, and if you're going into that corner and you start the brakes, right? You brake, and you can brake hard, but you do it in a real even fashion, that's what, it's all grip, it's the same thing. All this is hooey.
Can you? I'm sorry, I don't really
Don't be
understand
sorry.
what the graph is because I just kind of come over here.
Yeah, okay.
I heard like people talking and I was like, oh, they're talking about something important over there.
This is force in pounds. You know, if it's Bilstein's, they do it upside down and it's in some other thing, but it's all the same stuff. This is just force.
Okay.
So all it means, all my shock dyno is it has really sophisticated software.
Yep.
Right, but all it does, and I just have a crank dyno, and it moves it up and down at any given velocity.
I like that.
And it tells at any given velocity of the shaft, just has a load cell. And okay, at this speed, the load cell's seeing 100 pounds.
Okay.
Right? So it's just resistance to motion, and it's all it's for is to stop oscillation in your wheel. You know.
So why does it go negative and positive then?
This is just rebound damping. This is compression. It says negative, but it doesn't really mean anything. It's the same thing, except one is the force here and one is the force pulling
Oh,
apart.
okay. So positive is pulling it apart then, right? And then negative is.
Well, they're just putting two graphs on one, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And this is compression. This is rebound usually. But like I said, I think Bilstein, when they give you that,
Gotcha.
it doesn't really matter.
So, and this said the shock's moving really slow, and then up here is really fast.
But it has to go. It can't just, the fallacy with these idiots who say, oh, we can go over bumps because look, at high speed, we don't have any, it's very low.
Yeah.
It has to go through here first. It just doesn't get here magically.
That makes so much sense now.
It has to speed up, right? And first thing that happens is it goes, oh no. And then once it kind of overcomes that, then do you want to digress the damping so it can fly off it's just pass backwards.
Yeah.
But, guys, and I wouldn't know all this except and I've been a pretty competitive driver for my whole life, and I can be in the car and kind of get an idea of what works. And the most amazing thing is when I can't really, all these guys, I feel one click. It's like, I don't feel it.
Thank you. Okay, man.
It's like, what are they talking about? Do they do it? I think it's bullshit because, there's all kinds of stories of guys who go, I'll change, I need more of this, and they'll go in and they'll do that, and then they'll go, oh, that's great. Well, they didn't change it.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
These guys who think they know. But the one thing I always could feel was when you take out rebound damping, it's just unbelievably better. But you got to have both, and it's usually, I start out with usually the same. You can't have it the other way too if you have too much compression and no rebound. And so you have a spring, right? And you have compression damping. Well, the less compression damping you have, the more the spring, well, let's put it this way. There's a force pushing the tire up.
Yeah.
Turning into a corner, hitting a bump. Doesn't matter, it's going up, right?
Yeah.
So, how much people are listening to me? This is great.
Yeah.
I feel like I know something, which I don't.
You know a lot more than me.
So, two things happen. And when you go to bed at night, just think about this. The shock dissipates energy and turns it into heat. And actually, it's friction.
Yeah.
And regular friction, it used to be friction shocks. But friction's bad because it's digressive. There's static and kinetic. If you're pushing the big crate on the ground here, it takes something to get going.
Smooth.
Yeah. Static, kinetic, and that's the problem with that. So a modern damper like this, I think Didion or some French guy figured all this out. But the advantage is you can kind of make friction look like you want, but it's still just friction. It's just turning energy into heat. It's dissipating. The spring, on the other hand, stores energy, right? And it stores it the same at any given squish. Technical term. You know, if a 1 inch spring, you know, 100-pound spring per inch, that's you know, Olin's is newtons per millimeter, and then there's, but you know, just convert it. But basically, American spring, if it's a 100-pound spring, it means in an inch, it takes 100 pounds to move it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So it stores energy all the time the same for that. And you need that because you couldn't do the shocks, because those shocks are doing no damping right now, but that spring is storing energy. So they're two different things, right?
Yeah.
And if you just didn't have the spring, the car just flop on the ground. But without the shock, it would work. But what happens, you get these oscillations, right? And damping dampens that oscillation.
Okay.
And that there's a natural frequency to everything. And guys calculate it. I don't calculate things, but you can see it. I think I did in my very first video. I showed you know, if you take a ruler and you stick it out this far and go like that, it'll go. You shorten it up and it'll go. Blah, 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 blah. This is natural frequency, right?
Yeah.
And Bruce always said you don't need any shocks until it sees the natural frequency.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, it's just force at any given velocity, and you got to have a symbiotic relationship. The shock needs to dissipate a certain amount of energy, and the spring needs to store a certain amount. Because if it didn't, it wouldn't be, you know, you wouldn't have your tire on the ground. So it's kind of esoteric. I don't know what to say, but beware of formulas. All these guys, and real engineers, most of them, they want to quantify everything. They want to say, okay, you know, I'll see all kinds of guys in my kind of race car. Oh yeah, you take the on-sprung weight, the sprung weight, you multiply it, you do this, and that's the spring you want. You got to go test them.
Yeah.
And you think of Formula One, you watch Formula One?
Yeah.
They have how many screens? You think if there was a formula, they'd need all those guys on the screens?
Yeah. Actually,
It's ridiculous, you know?
So then what's more the ballpark of what we're looking for?
Well, let's say you have, also, we need to know the motion ratio. And all a motion ratio is, how can I say this? It's what the wheel, we want to know what the wheel thinks the spring is.
Yeah.
So if when that wheel moves an inch, the spring moves an inch on the shock, that's a 1-to-1 ratio. If it's a 100-pound spring, the wheel thinks it's 100 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
All right? But what if we have the wheel moves an inch and the shock moves a half an inch? That's a 0.5 motion ratio. So if you have a 100-pound spring and you move that an inch and this moves a half an inch, you figure, okay, then it's 50 pounds a wheel, but it isn't.
I know.
That's like what we were happening with your car, right?
Because there's leverages involved. You know, it's just like a leverage. You got to square it. So a 100-pound spring with a 0.5 motion ratio, it only thinks it's 25 pounds. I saw some guy on the internet and I corrected him and he gave me a shit. Well, you should have told me. Well, you shouldn't be on the internet saying things you don't know about. You know? He's telling everybody, oh, well, if it's a 100-pound spring, it's 50.
His name was Rob, huh?
Yeah, that's the same. I'll delete it. You just tell me.
No, it's not that. It's just that, you know, there's all these foremost authorities. And
Is that why the inboard suspension is such a kind of pain in the ass, because there's such different motion ratios in that?
No.
Well, I don't think it was more so that I made the mistake you just said, is that I had all the motion ratios, so I knew the percentage, but I didn't know. I just assumed that you multiplied, not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy. The math isn't, you know, I'm a high school graduate. The math isn't.
I guess it's different for each car to car and what you're trying
That's
to do.
exactly right. And I didn't know your motion ratio on my video. And, you know, they do them for all different reasons. Now, my cars are like a .63, and we'll do this car at some point, which means it moves at a, you know, like, what's 5/8 of an inch when the wheel moves in. And that's a pretty good, and there's not so bad. But it's exponential. You can just see if it's 1 inch and it's 100 pounds, ½ inch isn't 50 pounds, all of a sudden it's 25. So it just gets worse or better, whichever way you want to do it. It's not a even graph. So you want to know that. You want to, and I kind of have an idea what damping I want at that motion ratio. And then you figure springs, and then you know I got so much damping, and the spring at the wheel is so much. And guys will go around the pit, you know, they'll have completely different cars and all the extra. Oh, I'm running a 500 pound. What do you run on? 300. Oh no. Well, it might be a completely different motion ratio.
Yeah.
Not rocket science, huh?
No, I kind of understand it.
And guys they'll do, well, to get the damping, I want to know the unsprung weight and the sprung weight, and they'll have you fill out all this crap. And then there's a guy, he passed away a while ago, up in Washington, and he used a computer software for, what's it called? Critical damping. And there's some guy on the internet, 80% of critical damping. And critical damping, my stepson is a pretty big time civil engineer. Went to UC Berkeley and works in Manhattan for a big firm. But he, you know, he's not a mechanical engineer. So I said, yeah, this guy does this critical damping. And he looks at me and says, oh, you mean over damping? And what critical damping is, evidently, because I said, oh, it's over damping, somebody corrected me, which they were correct in a way, but it's still over damping, but it's a different kind. And it's for buildings and things. It would be if you got a hit with any given spring, that when it returned, it would never overshoot.
Oh, okay.
Because, you know, when you go down the road, when you see a guy with no shocks, pretty much is doing that, because it's oscillating. But that's no good. It's over damping, because we have anomalies. So what if it, you know, you gotta damp for most of the track. If there's, and that's the trouble with data. They'll say, oh look, we got velocity here, let's up the thing. Well, you know, you got 99% of the track, there's one bump there that, you know, it does something bad, and you're gonna damp for it. So anyway, it's not rocket science. You just find out, and we'll check the motion ratio. Then I have an idea how much damping I want, and I always do start out. It always seems to work, and Bruce did it too. I look at stuff he's done. I have about the same. Let's say this is 5 inches here, so I might have 150 here and 150 here, and it'll look like that. It'll be straight as an arrow. And as it starts to, velocity starts to pick up, it's just like that.
Yeah.
Just like that. Works great. And, you know, again, it depends on the motion ratio. And I'm not too good at springs. We might have to fart around with springs.
Yeah, I like that. I can do that.
But and springs are for my race car. I took off the anti-roll bars. I don't use them.
Interesting.
Well, it's kind of a Band-Aid. And I think there's, you know, my car, I took them off. They had knobs, so I could adjust the front and rear, you know, while I'm going. I have enough trouble steering. You know, I don't want to be messing. Those Formula One guys are fantastic. They're, you know, I'm going, wait a minute, I just, you know, I want to have my hands on the wheel. But I took them off. But I think it's a Band-Aid in a way, and I think there's some friction going on. You don't want friction. You want good friction, not the bad, because it's digressive, right?
Yeah.
But maybe it's necessary. My car, I have this zero droop, this weird thing in the front. But you know, that adds spring rate. When you turn in, then you have a little more spring. But basically, the springs, the front to rear spring, that's balanced. That's, you know, oversteer, understeer, you can do with springs. I think that's the deal why there's, and it's the weirdest thing. My car is maybe, what do you think, like 45, 55 or something, or close to 50, 50. But my rear springs are twice as heavy as my front ones.
Just
because of motion ratio, or?
No, same motion ratio, but just the wheel rate is twice.
Okay.
And I can't figure out why.
Wow.
But you can't put the lighter ones. I tried. We tested. Were you at that test where I have like 500s in the back now, and I put 450s on. It just wasn't as good. I tried to go low. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we can be in the ballpark, but you could always.
By the way, that's another reason first gens are better for road racing. You got coilovers in the back on these.
Yeah.
On the first gen, there's a shock.
Yeah, he's
And
only
the
with
spring
the first
is,
gen.
and the spring is separate.
And here's the.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah, in the
That's
fronts
right.
you gotta use coil.
And you have to do both. There's two motion ratios. It's
Oh,
easier
yeah,
with
'cause
the
they're different
coilover
spot, yeah.
because it's the same motion ratio. Right?
Yeah.
So, and Bruce always said, he did all this stock cars in Tony Stewart's car. Also, I have some dyno sheets from Tony Stewart's car in 2002, and at maybe not Elkhart Lake, but anyway, road racing, because they do all kinds of odd stuff. Again, the shocks does a different thing on a super speedway.
Yeah.
We're talking mechanics, but the values, these values are almost the same as my little Formula car. So it has nothing to do with weight. And also, I did a couple super modifieds or some. They look like NASCAR. They're tube frame. They got 800 horsepower, and they run them around quarter-mile tracks and stuff like that. And they run like 150-pound springs, but with lots of preload.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I'd rather have a softer spring with more preload. And preload, it's a weird thing. You have a 100-pound spring, and part of the preload is whatever the weight. If we did a survey on any of these cars, and you got to get some scales.
Yeah.
And we put it on the scale, and let's say that weighed 200 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then we figured the unsprung weight. We took the spring and shock off and just jacked the car up and did that might be 50 pounds unsprung
Didn't we get
weight.
the weight when Tanner did the alignment on this thing?
No, he didn't have the weights for those. He had for the.
And I don't know how to do weights. You have to ask Tanner. I don't know how to do it because all my cars I'm in the center. So I don't know exactly. I mean, I know the physics of it. And
Okay.
I know how to get it where you want, but I don't know what values.
Yeah.
Oh, you know Tanner too?
No,
No.
I'm just saying that there's things I don't know, there's
Yeah,
lots
yeah.
of things I don't know. But I usually, I kind of know what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I might not know exactly what's right, but I know when they're full of shit.
Yeah. So I preloaded pretty hard on this one, so that way
That's good.
at ride height the shock would be at the center, so I would get more like generally a little bit of travel each way. On the fronts, I preloaded it so that way it was mostly rebound.
Yeah, you probably don't want that.
Okay.
But so anyway, I just remembered what I was
Yeah.
thinking about, because I'm old. So we were talking about sprung weight and unsprung weight.
Yeah.
Okay, so a spring, part of the preload of the spring is is the weight of the car
Yeah.
minus the unsprung weight, because it's not seen, that's why it's called unsprung and sprung weight.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you have 150 pounds and you have a 100-pound spring, it goes down 1.5 inches. So it's preloaded 1.5 inches, so it takes, 100-pound spring, it takes 150 pounds. So people think, all right, now to move it again another inch, it's gonna take 250 pounds. But it's not the case. It's still that nice soft, because what happens is this is 150 pounds. It still has a spring rate of 100 pounds. So if you push up 100 pounds, it'll still move.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's still soft. It's not, what would you say?
Yeah, because it doesn't get harder as you spring more, right? It's the
No,
same spring per
No,
inch.
and in a way it does, because then if it comes up more, but the rate at which it does it stays the same. So I prefer a softer spring that's a little bit of preload.
Okay.
But it's not rocket science, it's not a lot of stuff, and anyway, and is this clear yet?
Yeah.
And what I do if it's linear, the way I do it is I just figure what, at 5 inches, what it is. I kind of know where I want, you know, and it all seems to work out.
And then what adjustment wise?
You don't, once you do it, you leave it.
Yeah.
Here's what adjustments are for, in my opinion. Because guys will go, you know, you're gonna go drag. I do a guy with a P-38 tank car at the Salt Flats, and he set all kinds of records. He and his wife, they go like, he's a Swedish guy, and he had a Volvo in it that was, and then he had a flathead. And he went like 220 miles an hour. But we put Öhlins on it, nice little Öhlins, got the damping correct, and he's setting records. And all these guys could go in about 160 down there and spin out.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same. You won't have to change anything.
Wow.
What's the difference in drag racing? If you're road racing, you're accelerating up the straight.
I can't argue that.
It's all the same, you know? And these guys will go, oh, I go to this track, or I you know, they'll always say to me, and they're not stupid, they just, it's, what do they call it when everybody thinks the same thing? I'll think of the word.
Yeah.
But you know, they think, oh, I'm going to the track, so I want to have this, and I'm going on the street, and I want it nice on the street. My car's like a Cadillac, my race car. And that'll be like a Cadillac. You just will drive
Yeah.
nice.
I like that.
My 7 too.
Yeah.
The rears, they're not adjustable.
No.
We got all kinds of different tracks, and we took them
Well,
off.
one's adjustable, one isn't, because I
Yeah,
couldn't
you
find
put
a
it on
shaft.
side to side.
But I just leave it.
Yeah.
You know, and I have
But we took it off. We probably had taken it off for 10 years.
15, more than that.
Yeah.
I sit in Berkeley in the rain. And
We hadn't taken it off. Took it off, put it on the dyno. It was perfect.
Wow.
Whoever valved it.
Yeah.
So once it's right, but it's good if you're going to the track and you're trying things, but not for that specific track. Does that make any sense? What I'm
So
saying?
you're dialing it in to get the ideal for
Yeah.
everything, basically.
And these aren't really adjustable. The Öhlins, like Brian wants us to use, they have adjustments, but it just fucks up the shock. And when you get them right, they're great, but they're not adjustable. These are actually adjustable. And this is the one, I think. But we might have to finagle Öhlins, or we might have to paint them. I don't know. But
Big camera.
this is the one here.
Yeah. Yes, we'll show the audience what these are just in general, not that they're necessarily.
Is this your in guys?
Oh yeah, these are. But I figured we just at least film something.
You can film if you want. I won't take my clothes off.
Yeah, okay, no camera.
No, they
We don't mind.
blow out. Yeah, this is a TTX 36. It's just like the ones I want on this car,
Yeah.
except the canister's in line.
Okay, so this is the TTX 36.
In line.
Okay.
The ones you have will have a remote reservoir, and the only difference is that the ratio of how far the shaft moves to the total length of the shock is less in this, because some of the, if you don't have the canister up here, you could move, you could move the shaft up further.
Yeah.
All right. But if you don't need all that travel, which usually don't, it doesn't matter. I kind of like these.
So this is just like a remote canister. It
Yeah.
just happens to be not remote.
Yeah, it's in line. It's really great.
That's cool.
And this is two-way, which again, on my race car, I have TTX 40s come four-way. I took them off.
Wow.
I
That's
don't
good
like,
dial in.
well, I don't like them because when you're a linear guy
Yeah.
and you start to turn, you got to turn. You want to do your low speed. You got to do the high speed a little bit too. You know, where these stay linear. And the other advantage of this is, well, this is kind of, I don't know, technical, but if you have a single tube shock, which are just, if they're right, they're just as good. Don't let anybody tell you.
Yeah.
You know, this is just has a lot of advantages.
Because this is a twin tube.
This is twin tube, and the guys, I had a guy going, twin, fixed him. He goes, the twin tubes are no good. So I just chimed in and you know, it's this big following of people. And I said, well, you know, Owens has twin tubes. And they're good. There's a different, the old-fashioned ones are twin tube, but it's a different deal. And these are good. And he goes, well, you're just he's a carver. He redoes Wilson's, which are good shops. I like Wilson's. If the software is right, they're pretty good. Next to my Owens, those things are the best. I don't want to make that add to them, but you know, they're very inexpensive too. Then he goes, well, you're just a motorcycle rider. I said, well, I was 2011 National Divisional, Southern Pacific National Divisional Formula F champion. What have you done there? And I think he took me off. You know, it's like I'm an idiot because he knows. And you know, so. But anyway, there's a lot of advantages with the shock, with single tube shock. Most of them, let's just say, any, you know, single tube Owens or you know, supposedly professional shocks that are single tube. You got to worry about cavitation, which is why they have to have. They have to have a little more pressure than these. They have to be pressurized because the shims on it. In other words, there's no shims on this piston.
Right.
Yeah, it's all in here. You can get them with a blow-off stack and stuff.
Okay.
But
That's what Brian was showing us.
yeah, but I never use blow. I don't know why they do that, but people know better than me. I'm just telling you what I've found. But so this is just pushing through these valves. So when you have the, I don't know if people are familiar with it, but piston has shims on each side, and there's a port where you go to the, let's say this shim when you're in rebound and this shim.
Right.
And rebound damping, you know, they have all this high speed. It's only, I think, as far as I can tell, whatever the spring can push back the shock, that's it.
Right.
It's not like going over a bump or something. You know, if you're going over, you know, a curve or turning in real hard, you can get these velocities, but I don't know what big velocities you can get rebound. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
it's just
You can't push it.
maybe because, you know, if you're in the air, if you're a truck, one of those trucks, unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, and then the suspension can pull it down. So what basically happens is when you are in compression, the oil has to move from one side to the other, and the shims open partially from oil pushing, but also there's a low pressure area here. It's just like a wing. It actually pulls the shims up too.
Wow.
So you can kind of see here that the molecules are stretching out or something like that. Right? So at some point, if you get too much of a, so you'll have lower pressure here than here, right, when it's in compression.
Yeah.
I don't want to get technical because I don't know anything technical, but I'm just saying that so if that pressure differential gets too much, then the oil here vaporizes.
Whoa.
You know, it's what's the name? Cavitation.
Yeah.
And it's neat that there's things on the YouTube that show they make a clear shock and it's just turns the gas and instantly turns back.
Yeah.
So you got to have a certain amount of pressure in a single tube shock to keep that pressure drop across that piston from getting too much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And cavitation can actually hit the piston. You know that Oroville Dam,
Yeah.
they had cavitation with the water was actually
Really?
wrecking the cement. It's like little bubbles. It's like
Yeah.
little explosions or something.
Wow.
So on this, it's just pumping. It's a twin tube, so it's twin because it's pumping around. There's a piston, and it's pumping through here. You know, like one of these when it's in compression, it's pushing the shims here, but there's a check valve here and it can come back. So there's no cavitation. You don't have to worry about that. And you can run about half the pressure. You got to run some pressure, I think. Near as I can figure to keep things sucking. If you get a big hit, you'll suck air or something. I don't know, but it's about half. You don't really need so much. So you don't have to worry about cavitation. And this is 100% damping. It's completely separate. And the weird thing I found out about these, when I do a single tube shot, you gotta have the bleeds open. you know, these guys will go and they go around telling everybody, well, you gotta close it down because there's no damping, you know, low, at a real, you know, when the wheel starts to move, low speed is just a lead.
Yeah.
It's a bleed, right? So it starts to move, then there's no damping. Well, we're not in outer space. You know, the thing has to start moving. There's inertia, it has to get all that mass moving, right? There's friction involved, which is damping, so it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And when you get a big hit in these, pressure builds up and it has to dissipate. That's what that hysteresis is.
Right.
It's
Okay.
really
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
And part of the way it relieves itself is it, the pressure relieves through the bleed the other way. If you close those down, you get all this hysteresis. It just, it's, you know,
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. Well, they're experts.
Yeah.
That's what they are, experts. And you see what experts do.
Yeah.
But here, for some, and I think I figured it out. I'll try to think of what I figured out. But you can really close these down pretty far and have no ill effects. It's great, which means they're really adjustable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're turning down and you're not getting hysteresis, it's fantastic. So that's one of the advantages, and it's pretty, you know, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Guys, I had a guy, I did a set of TTX 40s, which had 40 low speed, you know, I took the high speed off of mine, but he had the two-way, or four-way. He has 40 and 50, 40 low speed, 50 high speed. And I think if you do the math, that's 4 million combinations,
Yeah.
you know, between the two. So I kind of set things in the middle and I said what I thought was okay. And he comes down with this guy from Canada. It's a little Formula car that I put him on. Not little, I mean, it was one of the motorcycle power ones, pretty fast.
Yeah.
So this guy comes down. First thing he says, well, the shocks aren't working because, you know, if we push this down, if I can't, it'll come back.
Yeah.
The TTX 40 has a through shaft, so
Oh yeah.
there's no, it's like a steering damper or something. There's no, you know, the pressure doesn't affect this. As soon as it's broken, it won't come back. Oh, so then he's used to doing so-called professional shots. And you know, you might do 8 or 10. I think I had set like 26 and low speed, 30 high speed, in the middle somewhere. So I think he turned him down to 8, whatever he thought it was. Right. And the guy went off the second turn, he just went straight off. So, you know, you gotta be careful because these are powerful, but it's actually adjustable.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a pretty good range, depending on what my valving is. It's a
Yeah.
pretty good range. You get a little hysteresis in these. If you have a really high leverage motion ratio, in other words, the shot doesn't move much for the wheel, you gotta make a bunch of damping and that kind of causes a little, but this is so simple. And they have a thing that comes, you know, the end eyes are 6 little bolts here, little Allens, and they actually have one to fit that car, the clevis. It's a clevis, right? So we can run that, or I might want, we're gonna have to make some special parts, I don't know, but this is it. And then let's say a lot of them are sold. Takes me, all I gotta do is let the gas out, pop these off, revalve, put a little oil in there, pop them in, gas on top. I don't have to take it apart, right? It's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
So that's the other advantage of these. They're easier to work on, and it's a great shot.
Yeah, I think
And it's not all that expensive. It turns out they get a little more expensive because they don't come with anything.
Yeah.
But this is 800, retail is like $888 or something.
Okay.
And the one with the canister 700 something. And it's the same stuff you put in. So, you know, it's the best. And they look great on the dyno, and they work good, and they're easy to service, and easy to revalve. And they don't get in the way anymore.
Yeah.
You don't have this, that other one, is that one?
Yeah, those don't have any reservoirs or anything.
No, but I'm saying the ones that they're suggesting.
Oh, yeah.
It's just,
It's a lot of
they'd be good. Again, they're just as good when they're right, but I don't think, and if people are putting them on, you know, you got this. I don't think so. So this is what I think we are.
Yeah.
That sound right?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I truly believe. Yeah.
Did you ever read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle?
No, you know, I saw that. I think you had recommended it to me, and I hadn't had a chance to. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's just, you know, you read certain, but I'm not an avid reader. My wife reads. I'll get little spurts and I'll read certain stuff. But it affected me my whole life because the idea of it was about this guy who, he was a professor and he's trying to define quality. And he actually, it's a true story, he actually went nuts because he couldn't do it. He couldn't figure out how to define quality. So they went on this, he went on the motorcycle ride with his son.
I think they're turning it into a movie recently. Too,
I think they did a movie, but it didn't like work out.
Yeah.
But just put this in your hand and put one of those in your hand. You don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
You just know. I think.
Yeah.
To me, I look at it, I just know. They're the best, and you know they're way ahead of everybody.
I think I truly believe that for Olin's specifically, that if I have a shop that I as a driver can take down the drag strip and then take to a course, I think that's
You don't change anything?
that would sell.
I did the soft flats car the same as I do every other car, and people can't explain, well, why are you doing that? Tell me why you're stiffening it up for the track. Because this is velocity sensitive. If you're on a real smooth road, all shocks. It doesn't move much. It doesn't see much velocity. But if you get a big hit or you're on, on a bumpy road, it puts in more damping. If you're on the track and it's coming in hard and stuff, it automatically does it. So, if you get it right, you don't have to do all that. And usually when they're adjusting for something and then they lose most of the track for some. Well, guys do, and you got to use the shock and the spring. Guys will use shocks. Well, another thing this is for that they do probably more than going over bumps. Turn in fast. It holds. Bruce always told me, you see somebody, talking about shocks and they're showing you the platform, just walk because it's not what it's for. But they'll say, it holds it up. You turn in, and you're in this. You're in the nose, and it's tons of force, right? So they turn in, and it holds it up, or you can turn in. But then in the middle of the corner, it's back down to low speed. You're so overdamped, you're giving up the whole corner for a little turn in, and that's for springs or bars.
I didn't think that you're kind of more in a constant state when you're in the middle of the turn.
It could be low speed, back down to low speed, depending. Because it doesn't matter if we push this in halfway and stop it, still has no damp.
Yeah.
It's not, some of the off-road stuff have some bypasses and it might be sensitive to, what do you want to say, to where it is. Position sensitive, but this is not. It's just velocity sensitive. So you turn in, you're back down to low speed.
Because in your mind,
Not rocket science.
Yeah, but in your mind, you're thinking, okay, now the springs are low, but the springs in the shock.
No, the spring's storing that energy, and you want that nice soft. And you don't go you don't want to go over damp, because what happens is it's like your food. Look at Jordan has land avenue. Grandma and grandpa on my mother's side lived on Grand River and Dexter.
Oh, yeah.
And my grandma Anna, who worked at Northland, sold cooks until she was 80. She lived in near 7 Mile Greenfield.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that we moved there. I think that when I moved out of there, I think we were somewhere near that. My cousins lived up on 8 Mile. So I don't know, but I've been here since I drove them out. That's how I lived in. I said we're going. Didn't have that road. But anyway, so that's my take on it.
Yeah.
You can listen to anybody. I love it when people listen.
Yeah.
But have them explain, I don't think they know what they're talking. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I know that.
Yeah.
You know, I
That's more
just have a
powerful.
little practical experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think my mind is blown by the idea of mid-turn, because that's what I'm thinking is that, oh my god, now the car's gonna be so soft, but that's not.
And you don't want it too soft. But-
Yes,
And the reason I mentioned Michigan, so
Yeah.
you have ice, you ski.
Yeah, like snowboard.
Yeah, I do, I ski, he snowboards. I don't ski anymore. It's horrible. People, I'm up on the black thing, they're doing this down there in your way, but they can go down and sit. I just got tired of it. You know, and so. I had a locker at Mammoth in 1964. You know, ski locker. There were 5 lifts. I don't know if you know about Mammoth.
Yeah.
Well, 5 lifts.
Now it's like 50.
Yeah.
So I did it with, so anyway, so how do you walk on ice?
Keep your weight above your feet.
Well, you're smooth.
Yeah.
You're not if you do this, and you know, the skiing, same thing, you just, you'll go. Or if you do too much, it fall over. But it's just think of damping as walking on ice. And if you're over damped, you're doing this, what's it do? You know, if you don't have enough, if you don't put your foot down hard enough, you're gonna go too. So you gotta, it's walking on ice.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as far as I can tell. So it's not rocket science. But, you know, you can get it in the ballpark. Let's do some motion ratios.
Yeah.
All we need is a jack, and maybe, tape measure. You wanna take notes, Jonathan?
Yeah.
We only need to do one side, one front, one rear. And I think we gotta take a wheel off when we do
We
that.
can definitely take the weight off.
Can we do it in 1.9 seconds?
Yeah,
That's quick.
you should have been done already.
Yeah.
One thing I want to insist on, before you drive that, have my guy pull your seat.
You got a guy that can do
I
that.
got the real guy, he does Indy cars.
Yeah.
Super important, safety wise and being able to. It's fun, that'll be a good video.
Yeah.
It takes 2 days. It's
That'd be
an hour.
fun.
Well, you'll see my car Sunday.
Yeah.
What do you do for Thanksgiving?
I think my girlfriend's actually going to Indiana to be with her family, so I'm gonna be here.
Why don't you come? It's so low key at the house, I think only we'll be there, everybody else is checking it out. So why don't you come over?
That sounds like
Jonathan and Dasha, me and Marlene, and whoever else.
They can check out the race cars.
Yeah, we can go there, I can show you the shop. We don't have to go long. But it's so low key, you won't believe it.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy, we don't sit around and have to, right, I think I'm gonna try to.
Oh.
Right, oh, wait, put it down again.
And my wife can't live without a job.
Yeah, she's a Russian. Yeah, I'll keep bugging you, I'll keep bugging you.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so what we're doing right now is we're actually taking a look at how much the shock travels compared to the tire. So basically at the very edge of the tire, the center of the tire. If you move an inch here and the shock moves half an inch or an inch, you can take it and ratio from that to the.
And it doesn't have to be to Jody, my son Jody, he did every quarter inch, which is good, there's nothing wrong with it. It's unnecessary, I can get it in the ballpark.
Yeah.
So we need a tape measure,
Okay.
and maybe, do you have a level? Just a little chicken shit level.
Yeah, probably.
Like start to the side of it.
Yeah, I think so. I had that one.
So we saw your son, I made that trip, not through Houston, but when I was racing, I'd go in at, like if I'm racing at Sebring, I'd go in at El Paso, and out at Beaumont. Right, 24 hours in Texas, you know.
Yeah.
So I was in 67, I was 68, 69. I was picking up my Chevron at Sebring.
Yeah.
So I go through Louisiana, perfect, this is perfect. And you go on the Gulf Coast to Biloxi. This like they were building something. Because the houses were kind of torn down and there was big. And then I noticed all these, I came 4 months after Hurricane Maria. It was unbelievable. Boats were on the other side of the road. The road was like that. Signs, I'll never forget, you know, like a little, no parking signs.
Yeah.
That bent around.
Oh, right.
So I've been,
Yeah.
but I don't do that anymore, you're young.
Yeah.
But I used to, I raced in Monterey, Mexico City, and I towed by myself. Went by myself.
You survived that.
Huh?
You survived that.
Well, it was all right. They had the Pima girls at the race.
Nice.
They were like, but and then my friend, you know, it was pretty good. So Jonathan, remember what we did? Or did you do this? Kind of hold it level. We're just gonna get an idea. No, but I want the top of this in the middle.
Gotcha.
And again, we're not doing anything. Oh, you're right. So we'll call it 14 1/4 inches. That's good. Okay. Okay. 1.9 seconds.
Finally figured out that this thing still has its air jacks. And so
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I adapted my air compression.
Oh, good.
It'll lift them halfway. So
They probably have high pressure.
yeah, they're high pressure.
Also, we need some droop in that, but I was doing, a friend of mine's car, he had way too much droop. All right, now we'll take the wheel off.
Okay.
Do you have another jack?
Yeah.
Yeah, tri-tip. I
Yeah.
barbecue.
That would be a
And if you let me know what you drink, whether you want any vegetables, you know.
Yeah, that's
So you can't be stuck
Oh,
here.
definitely has to do with
Look. You can see the massive world headquarters. No, because we're gonna jack up the underneath here.
Oh, okay.
With the wheel.
That's bigger one? Yeah, it's a bigger one. Is there, you know where the half-inch Milwaukee impact's at? Oh, it's up here. Oh, thank you. I heard shelf.
You're really good at that CNC. Mine drove me crazy.
Oh,
I'm not cut out for
out
that.
of pure necessity, though.
Yeah, I know, I tried too, but I could, of course, mine wasn't quite that nice.
Yeah.
Do you use software?
Yes.
Or which software?
I use Fusion 360.
I couldn't figure that out. So we gotta figure out, I'll have to tippy toe around Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah, see, you know, I approached it very like, you know, hey, this is something that we're gonna work with you regardless. I just really want to, you know, partner, and he was the one that suggested, you know, sending product or doing something like that. So that was exciting to let him come to that realization first.
Yeah, well, it works out now. You don't sell anything, right, to you don't sell?
No, I'm not. I mean, I sell clothing. Yeah.
All right, straighten the wheel out of it, I guess it doesn't. Well,
yeah.
Both the left. Yeah.
Weird too. I know. Just a little.
that's all right, leave it, it's good, that's enough. I'm overdoing it. All right, get the jack under this jack and then, introduction you wanna hold?
Yep.
I'll put it, what was it, It's not hard in the phone, because it's different, because you're on a fender, so you measure it.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Do you have a flash?
Yeah, I got one.
I think there's some- Yeah, oh, this is easy, this is gonna be great. So put in, put down 6 and 5/8. 6 and 5/8. Now let's see if we can do another inch.
Okay.
Now, do you put the thing on it?
Up or down?
Up, another, all right, this is up.
Yeah.
Roll.
Yeah.
Oh, ball.
There we go. There.
Okay, now, jack it up until I say stop. Just keep going, you gotta go in. Okay.
It's, well, it's wedged in there, so we're.
We can, we're just lower.
Look at it turn.
I know, oh, yeah. There we go. That's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it actually before did 14 and a half, which is all right. So, all right, just keep jacking. Close, yeah. I need another inch.
All right.
Okay.
It's just gonna
Not good at jacking, dude.
We need a professional jacking slide. Why not? I got a different idea. Lower it.
Yep.
And get a piece of wood and just put it under the case. Oh, well, you got rubber.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should. Is this too thick?
Yeah, that actually might work perfect.
And block.
Yeah.
Put that towards the middle. Oh, you think that would work? Okay, yeah. Hey, whatever works, it's fine with me.
That's what I was just.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna move jack further in the car.
Yeah, I can keep going this way.
Yeah.
Bastard. Difficult for us. Okay. See the rub?
Yep.
Keep coming, we got quite a ways. Quite a ways, all right, another inch or so. Keep going, it's all right if it lifts the car. Still going, keep going. Is that all you can get? Go a little more. Oop.
No, I don't think it's going well.
It just went down a little, keep going up. That's all right, it should eventually squish. Yeah, it's squishing, keep going. That's all we're gonna get. Okay, so. It's a half, it's all right, it's a half. 5/8. Okay, 5/8. All right, keep it right there, we'll stay there.
Yep.
So, 0.625. And, 6 and a 16th.
6 and 16.
That goes 625, right? 16th? He knows. All right, so let's do that. Am I doing that?
Here we go. Okay. You do it. You calculate.
All right, so what is this? That's where it was to begin? with?
Yes. No, that was all the way up.
Okay.
So yeah, that's where we started. I'm sorry.
All right, where do we finish? 6 and a 16?
So we went.
So 5/8, 0.625 minus 0.0625.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Kidneys.
I was like, oh my god, do that.
Okay, what is that?
So what do we, sorry.
6.625 minus 6.0625.
5625.
So we moved it, that's how far we moved this. Oh, that's the shop.
Yeah.
And then we moved this 5/8.
Yeah. Pretty close to.
Yeah, 1 to 1.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's pretty straight. Is that right? Because I moved it 5/8,
Yeah.
and it moved about a little under 5/8 because 65 days minus 16. So, minus 6.062 That's 5.625. Is that my expensive pencil? All right, we want to do the same thing on the rear.
If the shop should move less than the type of position, a lot of construction. So it seems like we're in the background. You know, we'll get an even better measurement, like clean.
Well, and it doesn't matter. I'm just getting an idea.
Yeah, nice.
Guys who get things perfect are most of the time perfectly wrong. Yeah, it's a 0.9. We're going to call it a 0.9. All right? And that makes sense too. That makes perfect sense that it's a 0.9. Uh-oh, what are you doing?
My watch. Turned on. That's okay.
I think it's a little over 1.9 seconds.
You know, it's about the quality, you know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Our pig crew is in here today.
Yeah. Have you ever been on one of those springs?
I've never driven it, I've been there, but I've never actively driven it. That'll be a whole new experience.
So,
Yeah, it's secret.
yeah. It's not, there's only a few corners and you only brake once or twice.
I told him we liked you last time.
Yeah, you did.
We're going again. I don't know when.
I don't know, I don't think he fit.
I think you fit.
In the van.
No.
Oh, I know fitness.
Well, that's what we need to do.
Yeah, what I wanted to do is have this little guy get fun with power, like random one, and this would be Papa Bear, and that would be the monster, you know, like.
And this will have the same big shots.
Ultimately, yeah.
Yeah, because I guess what I mean is, these is.
I mean, I don't know what the second gen, I don't think they work 100%, but they're close.
Well, what's this?
This is a third gen.
This is third generation.
Oh, I thought that was an 8.
Oh, yeah. RX-8.
No, that's the next.
Yeah.
But no, we're probably gonna come next month or January.
Yeah, I'm 100% in.
You should come, you can drive my car.
Yeah, that would blast.
Should definitely take it up all that tires.
Yeah.
the jacket.
Yeah, it's off the jack.
All right, bounce on the back. See, this isn't much rocket science, is it? It's not that difficult. Okay, hold on. This is going to be a little harder because of the big old wheel. But maybe we can just do it to the wheel. I don't know. Well, no, I can't because we could have the wheel off.
Oh, no.
Yeah, all of a sudden, yeah, what is it? My phone, my watch will tell me I'm doing something on the phone. And so it's like, oh, weird, that's weird. My phone's doing something. I turned it off, and anyway, that's just. But, yeah.
No, it's still going.
Oh, okay, good.
We got a lot of really cool things to show you guys. Sorry, the timing of this.
Okay.
Yeah, Willow Springs is a nice spot. We used to go out in the middle of the night, in the 60s. We used to drive up there and drive around in the night. Oh, there's nothing there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did she draw?
I have a little EK.
What?
Civic.
I raced my red one?
Uh,
That's the one out here?
no, that's where I was staying. Oh,
I
yeah.
raced one of those, you know. In '88, I raced a Honda Civic in Escort and Durham. CRX.
Oh, yeah.
It was the hardest thing I ever drove.
Yeah.
And it's so different from rear-wheel drive. And the guys who could drive them are really good.
Yeah. That's a unique class of people.
I got like 3 laps in, and then my shifter came apart on the long straight and just
Well,
kind of into my night.
Yeah, what was the races?
Yeah, I had a little bit too much confidence in my car and didn't do a wheel check.
Well, that's not the worst he's done.
Yeah.
Well, we've all done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, he bought a car and didn't do a inspection before sitting for 30 laps, and didn't realize it didn't have transmission fluid. Sheared part of one of his output shafts on the diff.
Detail.
Yeah. He had fun.
He left the towel in the motor once. Fire. They formed a car.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you remember that.
Gas soap towel, no less.
I'll tell you that story. That was a good one. What did I do with the tape measure?
This right here.
So it was at Buttonwillow.
Oh,
It was from Formula RF94 Formula Continental. So it took off, and I was right at the start. I was like car lengths ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
Have you been on?
Yeah, I did look.
Okay, so on the clockwise, so I'm, I start, getting up to go to that big sweeper.
Yeah.
I'm smelling something. It must be burning up there. I looked down. And what I've done is, in that car, you had to take the tail off to put fuel in the fuel filter, so I put a rag, so it wouldn't drip on me. I forgot to leave it. So I came through there, and we were going all the way down, so I went, there's a little cutoff, I went in there, and I popped out, and the guy did it, and I said, said, you wanna go again? I said, sure, so I got in, but it had melted, there's little bypasses on the rig here. But I go, something's,
Anything's possible out there.
my friend Benner says, look, if the track is like a drunk farmer was there with his tractor.
Yeah. Really bad.
Alright, so, I've been on my nuts about it, and I was so far ahead of everybody. Damn. Wow. This is gonna be good. Hold on. Alright, now start doing that. One more inch if you can get it. Right? No, keep going, sorry. It's black, it's hard to read. Right there. All right, oh, we didn't do it, hold it there because we can do it back. Okay, you got your phone, you got some water, and you like it? That's up. So, let me put it down. Hold on, put that down there. Two, right here. As soon as my kid. Right, now go down. Okay. Stop. Now go up just a little. Let's see. Hold on. Yeah, thanks. All right, right there. That's good. Hold it. Yeah. So I think that was 9.5. Oh, 8.5 and 9. Makes sense. Okay, so that's a 0.5. That's real high leverage. Right? And does it make sense? Does it look like that? So when the people land it? Yeah, but you got all these funny things and it's way inside, so it
Yeah.
makes sense. Okay, good. All right, that's all I need. Is that too easy?
Really
Too complicated?
We can complicate things.
Pit stop.
Yeah.
These are the shocks that are on there now, huh?
Yeah, that's exactly what we have right now. And I have 150-pound spring per inch.
Well, in the back,
No, just the back. Yeah, just the back. Yeah. The
so
front-
so those that's like 35 pounds or something of spring ring.
We
What are they?
150.
yeah, the 150.
They're preloaded like crazy.
Yeah.
I like that though. You know, you can live with that. I like it.
Yeah. It felt right.
And you have no compression in it, so. Yeah. And what size are those springs? Are they 2 1/4, 2 1/2?
I think it's 2.5. I don't think it's 2.25.
All right. Now, oh shit. shocks off this? Stock ones or anything?
No, I have aftermarket ones.
Yeah. Perfect. And they fit, you had them on?
Yeah, these were on.
So there you go.
These are, I believe,
Well, does it have a clevis though?
let's see, the front and rears are slightly different. So,
Let's see if that has a clevis. 'Cause
so these two should be the same.
Oh, these aren't the right ones.
These are,
It's not for this car.
these came off of this car.
Well, but there's a clevis on the bottom.
Let's look.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, you get what
I think you threw the fronts away or the rears away.
So those are. Yeah, so on this car, they both have threes on the top.
Yeah, at the bottom, I thought it was a clevis.
No, it's just a joint like that.
Good, all right. But the back was definitely a clevis. Look at the back.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so you threw the rears away.
Yeah, so at front.
Well, I might have screwed you up. We might have to just take one of these off. Can I take this with me?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this all worked, right? I mean,
Yeah, it was slightly lower than the normal ride height, but that was,
it wasn't hitting.
no.
Because the only thing, everything else I can change, but this distance here from here to here, you know, I mean, and also, it's all modular, so I can change that up and down.
Yeah, over there. It's got this.
Yes, clevis. Yes, clevis, this here. So maybe I can take, let me see. I need some light. No. I just need that tape measure. And that's a full droop, right?
Yeah, that would be currently full.
Because I can always, you know, change these around. You cut weight into nothing. These are big, heavy things. And that's enough travel, huh?
There's a reason those are off the car, because those were very, like, minimal travel.
Okay, so I can give you more travel. Hold on, Jonathan, don't go away mad. Let's see. Have to run upside down, just so you're adjusting. Because there's a clevis that fits that you can put right on the middle, so it wouldn't even need to be free to the front. Yes, I don't know, man, anti-roll bars. Oh, yeah, the clevis. That sway bar is kind of iffy there, isn't it?
Yeah, very close. Look. That's an aftermarket one though too, so no problem modifying and doing what's needed.
What's the stock one?
Same, obviously same general position, but
Yeah, this one's even way too long. Okay, all right. Such a bad drawer. All right, that's all I need. I have a front, and this one could be shorter, right?
Let's see, that one. Oh, it definitely compress. Yeah.
But I mean, the shock itself could be shorter. What is that? You have a caliper. Yeah, this would be good. This would work great right here. Yep. See, because I have different size things I can go down here. Come on. Millimeter. Oh, really? For styling.
The common.
It's good. So here's what I think. 4.7, yeah, good. We can get a bolt that'll fit here. You know, we can get the spacers.
Yeah.
See, because this is, this will be perfect, this one.
Oh, wow, yeah.
See, it's shorter here, but it still goes up. And I can get a longer, you know, they make longer ends
Yeah.
that just go up here. Or we can make a part with them, but I have a feeling. Then we make some spacers, you know, because this, the end's thinner. And that might be too much droop. I think we got way too much droop. But I see, I can put spacers inside.
Oh, I see.
The only thing that matters is this distance, because, you know, if it's, let's say it was up here, it wouldn't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
But if it's here and I got too much travel,
Yeah.
I put spacers inside. It's simple.
Nice.
And then tops, what would we do for a top? Probably,
I'll clean my hands.
guys make camber plates. What's the place up there in Sacramento? Makes your camber plates?
It feels still more local than
Yeah, I think it's right.
Well, this is weird, it's just,
What?
how do you do camber on this?
The lower control arms on the front have kind of a rotational thing.
Right, a slot, kind of like a Subaru. How close does the hood go to the top of this motor?
We have to do some modification, because this doesn't hit here. That's,
I mean, here, through here. Is there room for a?
oh, yeah. You know, I used to run, in this case, we'll have to bring it back, because this engine's a little higher. But, yeah, I used to run a strut bar mount.
Yeah, but that one will just do that anyway, so I mean, if you came up and over, it's still not.
If I did like a thin, flat style.
Oh, it looks like it just hits.
Yeah,
This here is just work.
yeah, that's my new stuff I just made. So
I know it's beautiful.
yeah, I'm trying to modify.
Well, just put a blister. You wanna keep it stock looking or?
Yeah, I want to make it look stock, stock good.
It's a very street car, so.
Yeah, it's actually become a very tame street car for sure.
They're great.
Yeah.
I love sleepers.
Yeah, but yeah, so for strut bar, the ideally, the urban run is take an example, but
Yeah, then we wouldn't allow it to do that.
yeah,
That would be pretty hefty.
they make a big difference.
I don't know, it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
That's why I was looking at something, go, if I know that,
Yeah.
well, you know, it's oh, yeah, it's pretty shiny. So I don't see the concentric for the. Oh, so this, the spring has to clear this, but. Cause you can actually use 2-inch springs on it, but I don't think you can get them long enough.
Oh.
6 inches is it, are these more than 6 inches?
I went to like almost 10 on the rears for the so I could get that.
Yeah, we go 2 1/4.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I can.
I think I might have gone to 8 on the front.
But I think 2 1/4 might fit up through there. Well, we'll just-
Yeah.
Well, where's the concentric part down here for the neighbor? I wonder if Olin's next one is, you know, the top. plan.
Yeah. Because I've obviously not gotten far enough into adjusting these things to really hear it into that.
And what is the stock one, stock fence?
Um,
Because I like rubber.
Yeah.
You know, they do all this stuff, but
Yeah.
Olin's has trouble, it gets banged up. Rubber's great.
Yeah, there's still stock kind of things up and then just there's some,
But you're, you could machine
Just
it.
over, yeah, exactly.
Where is it? I don't know.
It's gotta be either down there or the back, so it's gotta be right here.
Oh, it
It
is.
would be oval,
Let's see, yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's usually just oval shaped, so when you twist it, it moves it out or in.
Yeah.
That's the way
Yeah,
it is.
'cause, you know, like, on this car at least, I've never messed with camber on the strut, it's not strut at the shop.
Yeah,
We only messed with it on the lower form, bringing out into.
Oh, all right, so you have a way to do it, that has nothing to do with shop.
turn the,
Yeah, the bolt on the
that
bottom.
bolt, there's oval.
Yeah, it's got that off concentric.
It oscillates.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, it's not a little.
This will be fun. All right, I'm just gonna tell them, hey, it's not gonna work. I don't think there's no room for all that.
Yeah, that is a good point though. There's a lot of extra.
Well, it could work. But then you gotta have the spring and that, It's a lot of extra crap.
Offset from my weight gain.
You know, it's gonna be neat.
I like that.
You didn't need either. All right, is that it? That's all? we got? So what time is it?
It's 6.
6, that's good.
And we'll get away from the traffic.
Traffic, is there traffic going back that way? Not too bad.
You know, it starts dying down, honestly, 6:30, then you
All right, well, we'll sit here while we.
Yeah, it's, right now it's.
It wasn't too bad on the way here, but then it gets some spots.
And, yeah, because you can make all kinds of cool little spaces. Little hats.
That's kind of the fun part, is that we can, oh, you know, we need this custom thing, well,
Not good machines at Haas. You go, oh, well, I have something, that's, you know.
yeah, when you can crank out stuff, that's a good machine. Yeah, this car's gonna get, we're gonna reduce, just clean up some of the things as we've been testing and fine tuning it, and then put the hood over it, and then send it off the paint, so this car looks the part of what it is. Titanium.
Oh, it's titanium.
Yeah, look at the engine bay, but this is, one of our finest things. So this car has been a weird possession for a while, but Isaiah's kind of signature is these titanium intercoil pipes. It doesn't really serve an actual functional purpose, but it's such a beautiful.
Where is it?
He's inside of it.
Oh, when you weld this titanium, you have to put gas inside?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has a little thing that tells how pure the gas is behind the weld too.
And do you need to use rod?
Yes, you have to, I mean,
He's upset.
Oh, you don't have to get out, I can answer you.
No, it's, that was very new. A lot of people, it's hard to, everybody needs weld differently, but if you don't add rod, it'll just go crystally, and I hate that though.
Because when I do stainless, I just,
You,
you know, exhaust and stuff.
I use the thinnest rod you can, because you barely,
Yeah, oh yeah, you have to, but is it hard? How does it weld?
basic.
It's like stainless, it's fairly simple.
No.
Not simple. Well, stainless, do you think stainless is simple?
Stainless is really, after welding titanium, you can literally weld anything with ease.
Yeah.
Everything, titanium is, not a hard thing to weld, but you just want to perfect it, and so you go nice.
AC or DC?
Everything is DC besides aluminum and magnesium.
Oh, yeah,
But it's just how thin the rod is, on stainless and,
but
titanium.
guys, I was down the shop with the dragsters, they used to, you know, they got them so big, with the aluminum blocks, they used to break them, you know, and they DC.
Oh, we can do
I
that.
mean, yeah, DC. But yeah.
Back in business. Okay, 2 hours. Jeez. Okay, how many of you guys are back? Are you still here? Because I'm back.
But you know, if I was doing a lot of aluminum.
I missed you guys.
Every time I do it, you know, it's
Yeah.
different.
You know what's funny is that when learning how to weld, everyone's from
Let's see. Yeah, there we go, Jay. Okay. Well, you guys that left it going on in the background or just passively, I really, you see we're doing some really cool stuff. Aaron, yeah. Okay, guys. Braden, Spencer, man, you guys are beast. So, yeah, GT, yeah. So, super exciting stuff. Obviously, we're working on the 3-rotor, making a potential kit for the suspension. And the mind-blowing part to me, this player, is that we'll be able to use it for drag and the course and whatnot. And so that was great. Oh, there we go. That was a really great opportunity there. So that shock is nuts. It's the same company that we were visiting out in SEMA. But what we're going to be doing tomorrow, and maybe we'll do another live stream just to kind of make up for not really catching up. Oh, you do, Jay? What? Wow, okay. I know that they make some, but those are the TTX. Hey, Jordan. So the ones that we're working on right now are like the race car, like insane race car ones. For the what do you call it? The Indy car. So that's kind of where that came about. But take a look at this, just real quick. I've been gutting the crap out of this car. This thing should actually be running really quick. That was the goal, real quick, in and out, 15 minutes. Rick and Morty adventure. But all the stuff on here, that's all trash. That'll be a really easy quick project. I think I can get it running in less than 2 weeks. It just with all the spare parts that are in the shop. But I think what we're trying to do is get the 3-rotor ready for drag race. I've got to take this box here. These are the last couple pieces. This is actually brand new for the Corvette, the C8 Corvette. So that piece holds all the radiators and fans in the front corner of the car. So if you look at the picture of the car in this announcement, this piece is actually one that's missing. So I'm gonna take this tomorrow to the shop there, and to save on money, a lot of it, we're gonna rebuild the whole C8 basically from the ground up, like from the frame up. 4-rotor versus Unicorn round 2 soon. Not by the time you see all the hype for round 2. That's like the Boosted Boys and Daily Driven Exotics. Those guys all did this current round 2, and they all got spanked. They weren't even close. So that is giving us the run up to having this thing be 4-rotor versus the world. So I think that's more likely. And man, will it be one hell of a thing. So super exciting thing is that the wiring company that saw me buying all their parts, which is stupidly expensive. Like I would not do it this level for any other car than this one. They want to work on a deal to, get me the rest of the things for this engine. So that way we have like 4 plugs, like I've kind of mentioned, like this, boop, 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 like that kind of sitting in the back of the motor. Excuse me. So the 4-rotor, will definitely be coming back to life very quickly. And if you notice, there's that fender. There's the finished mold for one side. They've got the other side still at Battle Arrow, but that's the actual fender. And my God, it looks ridiculous. So they currently they turned that into a negative mold, and then they're literally right now, laying the carbon for the first fender. So it's utterly insane, absolutely nuts. We're gonna go visit them maybe next week because they're gonna have that one done, and they're gonna start laying the carbon fiber for the other fender. So we'll see what the finished product looks like, and this one being made all at once. So super, super insanely exciting for that. And my God, that fender actually looks really good on the car. I ended up doing the final design, and that was what I wanted. So if you guys make fun of it, you're allowed to. It was just what I wanted in my soul. I don't know. We're doing a lot of different things at once. I think with this car, we're doing the clutch on this thing. We're not the clutch, but the master cylinder is a piece of shit. A lot of Corvette guys, it's up and under here. A lot of Corvette guys will swap the master cylinder and make it like a quicker engagement. It sucks. Oh yeah, JT, yeah. So, oops, sorry, I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. So the owner of ProWire called me, and I never messaged them or anything. I just was ordering, and he called me from my number I put on, which was my cell, on my orders. So that was really crazy. What's up with the wing on the 4-rotor when the C8 4-rotor be built? Yeah, Brandon, perfect question. So the wing that's on the back of the 4-rotor is actually Isaiah's wing for his RX-8, and he's put it on there to try. Yeah, you can see that he's trying to get that slow burn for me to swap to that. And then the other 4-rotor is this guy's got to build it.
I don't think you want that.
Yeah, I think I kind of do, but that's only masochistic. So that's this engine that you're talking about. I now have 100% all the machine work done to be able to do this entire motor. I actually think we're going to take it a little step further and make it a semi-peripheral motor, because it'll be just responsive down low, up high, and all that. So I feel very strongly about that. Yeah, the taunt is very strong with him. But yeah, so this is the same one that what's his name, balanced to 11,000 RPM. He's taking him to the RX-8. That is not good.
He's gonna get
Yeah, he's trying. So there's the 4-rotor E-shaft. So with the C8 back, here's kind of the plan of attack, is that at the end of the day, I just spent way too much money that I shouldn't have but I had saved aside for the C8 to be repaired. I'm honestly, you guys will know the exact amounts, but I paid $46,000 for the car, and I was expecting it maybe to be a $10,000 repair, and it's currently well over 20 grand, and so that's almost where you could have bought a new one. And it's not like we could have made tons of videos like we did with the C5 to offset the you know, keeps ads or something like that. So that car cost me a lot of money. So what I want to do is I want to do a couple videos of that car as a C8, get a baseline. I mean, there's dyno videos out there, but we don't have. Like, take it to Lucky Seven's dyno. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Joel's got a good point. So we're going to baseline it, also dynoing it, and then racing this car, which this car right now, two things are really sick about it. One is that turbo is nuts, right? Well, I have the odometer, I have the odometer working, but the speedometer and the tachometer. So I can peg, and oil pressure and oil temp and coolant temp. But I took it in a circle around the shop and revved it past 7 grand, and it buries the needle on the tack. So yeah, Jordan, that's what he's working on, the clutch. So the clutch engages smoother because the master cylinder for the clutch is some sort of like hack that a lot of C5 guys do. And so we're just swapping it to one that lets the clutch engage over a longer period of time. And then we're pulling the motor mounts. We have to pull the power steering to pull the motor mounts. We're raising them up about 1/2 inch only so we can fit some urethane underneath there. And then putting it, welding it all back together, triangulating it, and then this thing's ready to go. So haven't really beat on it yet, but my God, that I already can tell that this turbo is going to pull stupidly at the top end. So I mean, we're already going to beat Soupy, but we're definitely going to make the call out video once the engine mounts are done, and then race the C8, which this thing will. Short of the shifts, will be a hard on this car because, as you guys saw, it takes a face-plated shifter to really, get those shifts down tight. So the C8 will catch up in those moments, but this thing just has way more power. So we'll do a couple fun videos like that to justify why am I replacing the C8 motor with something else. And it's gonna be pretty nuts. So engine mounts for this car, dyno, take this car out to the track, have some fun, because this car right here should, it is now more balanced. It used to be about 57-43, and we took the 200 pounds out of the front with this motor, so this should be a 50-50 weight balance, and less weight. So I want to see if maybe we can make this car a really, really, really competitive car. And my God, I'm just very, very pleased with that. There's still 20 people chilling. Yeah, they're dedicated. It's over 120 minutes. So yeah, so I think what we'll do is we'll do we'll get going now, but we'll do a fresh one tomorrow for them, so that way they can watch the C8 in progress. It'll almost be an RX-7 by the end of it. Yeah. Well, it's still the C5 transmission, differential, and drivetrain. So torque tube and everything is all still C5. But it's the best of the RX-7s too. So, okay, guys, I'm gonna let you go right now. But tomorrow, did that body kit ever work out? No, those guys still haven't made it. Neither of the companies that make them. Kaiser hasn't made it yet. And Raf off on the Spirit Arbor Carlos. Holy crap! Yeah. Those things are stupidly priced now. But let's plan on another one tomorrow. I'll make a post about it ahead of time, so that you guys know when, and we're going to go over to the shop where the C8's being done, and you can just kind of chill out and watch us slowly reassemble a C8 very painfully without breaking any tabs. So, yep, love you guys too. Love you so much. All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Thanks for hanging around. Oh.